Hello, I'm Daniel Ginting. Today, I would like to talk to you about the planned learning activities, and I hope that my presentation will help you to understand the concept of the planned learning activities and helps you to work on the assignments in this module. In the next few minutes, I would like to discuss some important points. For example, what is the planned learning activity, and why do we need to create the planned learning activity, and how do we create the planned learning activity. Here are some slides, and I hope you enjoy watching them. Are you familiar with this saying? Failing to plan is planning to fail. In general, planning is important in any aspects of life. For some reasons, it is because a good planning makes everything we are going to do well organized. In the same way, teachers with good planning are more likely to achieve successful classroom activities than those without good planning. Let me start with what the term the planned learning activities means. The term the planned learning activities, which is basically similar to the term the lesson plan, refers to a series of teaching steps to be carried out in order that the teaching objectives can be achieved. The steps imply the course along which we as the teachers have to walk, to go through in order to get to the destination that is the learning objectives. Why do we need to develop the planned learning activities? First, the planned learning activity produces more unified lessons. Lesson planning gives you the opportunity to think deliberately about choices of lessons objectives, the types of activities, the sequence of the activities, the materials needed, how long each activity might take, and so on. Second, the planned learning activity also allows you as the teachers to evaluate your own knowledge with regards to the contents to be taught. If you have to teach, for example, a very difficult topic such as a complex grammatical structure, but you are not sure of the rules, then you would become aware of this during the lessons planning. Then you can take steps to acquire the necessary information. Teachers with a plan are more confident since they are clear on what needs to be done, how and when. The lesson tends to flow smoothly. It is because all the information has been gathered and the details have been decided upon beforehand. In general, there are some features to include in the planned learning activities, such as the general information, the learning objectives, the materials, resources, and the learning procedure. The general information you put in your planned learning activity commonly serves a brief description given for purposes of identification, such as date, the name of the class, the student level, the unit title, the lesson's title, and the durations of class. Now let's move on to discussing the learning objectives. The learning objective is a statement of the measurable learning that is intended to take place as a result of instruction. Let me explain about the important points regarding the learning objectives. That is the condition, observable behavior, and the criterion. The condition is something you expect that your students are able to do. The observable behavior refers to the capability of being seen or noticed. And the last, the criterions, refers to the expected degree of proficiency you expect that your students are able to do. Next, I would like to show you the slide about the materials. Well, materials basically include anything which can be used to facilitate the learning of a language. They can be presented in print, live performance, cassettes, CD-ROM, the internet, or even the mobile phones. A lesson procedure is a model that represents a continuous teaching cycle in which each learning concept builds on the previous one, serving as an instructional roadmap for instructors. There is an acronym WIPPEA that helps you to think about the lesson procedure. This acronym stands for W, warm-up, I, introductions, P, presentations, P, practice, E, evaluations, and A, application. Now let's talk about the warm-up. So in this stage, you need to assess students' prior knowledge by reviewing previous materials relevant to the current lessons. Just introduce them to an activity that reviews previously learned content. The next is the introduction. In this stage, you need to provide a broad overview of the contents and concepts to be taught and focus the learner's attention on the new lessons. Introduce them to the purpose of the lessons by stating and writing the objectives for learners and discussing the lesson's contents and benefits by relating the objectives to learners' own lives. The following steps is the presentations. In these presentations, you need to teach the lesson's contents and concepts. Create an activity to introduce the concept or skill. Then introduce them to informations through a variety of modalities using visuals, realia, descriptions, explanations, and written text. Check for learners' understanding of the new materials and make changes in lesson procedures if necessary. The next steps is practice. Practice is the steps that you need to model the skill and provide opportunities for guided practice. Introduce your students to a variety of activities that allow them to work in groups, in pairs, or independently to practice the skills, concepts, and information presented. You need to integrate technology into activities as available. The next steps is evaluation. In the evaluation step, you got to assess each learner's attainments of the objectives. For example, you simply ask your students to fill in the blanks or doing some quizzes. The last steps is the application. In these steps, you need to provide activities that help your learners apply their learning to new situation or context beyond the lessons and connect it to their own lives. Choose activities that your learners can relate to or have expressed concerns about. Dear participants, I hope you found this presentation useful. If you have any questions, if you have something unclear, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Thank you very much for watching.